Europe in the late 1600s was a chessboard soaked in blood. Borders shifted, empires collapsed, kings died in exile, or worse. Power was fragile. Crowns meant little when fire reached the throne room. But far to the north stood something different, cold, disciplined, ready. Sweden wasn't just surviving, it was thriving, a military machine wrapped in snow and silence. In Stockholm, a boy refused to be crowned, not out of humility, but because he already believed he was king. Denmark sharpened its blades, Poland whispered revolt, Russia crawled towards something resembling an army. The boy did not blink, he watched, he waited. Soon he would march, and when he marched, kingdoms would fall. Europe saw a child. What it missed was the lion waking in the snow. And history was about to freeze. Charles XII was never meant to be normal. Even as a boy, he learned to ride faster, shoot straighter, and suffer harder than anyone else. He didn't laugh, he didn't hesitate. He lived like he was already a king, long before anyone gave him a crown. At 15, Charles was crowned King of Sweden, or he was supposed to be. He refused, not out of fear, but because he said he already knew he was king. He didn't need blessings, he didn't need permission, he ruled by will alone. 3 kings thought the teenage ruler of Sweden would fold under pressure. Instead, Charles XII shattered Denmark in weeks. Then he turned east. At Narva, 10,000 Swedes faced 40,000 Russians and won. He didn't just win, he humiliated them. Fast, precise, brutal. By the age of 20, Europe had stopped laughing because Charles XII wasn't a boy anymore. He was a storm. While Charles was crushing kings in battle, another ruler was building something slower and far more dangerous. Peter the Great didn't just seize power, he took it from his own sister and locked her in a convent for life. Then he turned to the west, learned how to build ships, studied foreign armies, and burned the old Russia down. He crushed rebellions, shaved beards, westernized uniforms, and raised a navy from nothing. The boy King Charles had laughed at Russia, but now Russia was learning, watching, evolving. Charles XII had humiliated Russia, dethroned the King of Poland, crushed Denmark. He thought the war was over. But kings don't stay dethroned, allies don't stay loyal, and empires never stay still. In a single year, Charles was betrayed by Poland, Denmark, and Russia. Most kings would retreat, not Charles. He made one decision, one order, no treaties, no retreat. He would fight them all, and at the same time. And so began the Second War, the loneliest war, Charles XII versus the world. In 1708, Charles XII made his boldest move yet. He invaded Russia. He believed it would be fast, one final strike. But Russia wasn't waiting for battle, it was waiting for winter. Peter the Great had learned from defeat. He left no food, no roads, just cold, silence, and smoke. Still, Charles refused to turn back. His soldiers froze, starved, died, and he marched deeper. It was no longer a war, it was a death march. Reinforcements were coming, or so Charles thought. Then came Lesnaya. His ally Mazeppa promised an uprising, but the Russians got there first. Then came the bullet. He forbade his officers to speak of the wound. He kept fighting all day. No food, no allies, no supplies, wounded, but Charles would not stop. At Poltava, Charles XII couldn't walk, but he still refused to retreat. He handed command to Renskjold, but the army was broken and the generals weren't speaking. General Rus was surrounded and captured. The battle plan collapsed. Outnumbered, starving, with no artillery, the Swedish army tried one last charge. It was over. Sweden's empire died in the snow. Charles fled in a cart.